I bet your helmet has one of these. It's called a neck curtain, and its purpose is to prevent airflow from the outside world to the inside of a helmet. This little flap is the #1 thing a manufacturer can do to decrease noise, to sell a quiet helmet. But what if I can cite 10 peer-reviewed studies that suggest neck curtains trap CO2, decreasing brain function by 50%? That could be deadly. The air I inhale is 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. My body's after the O2, so exhalations are 78% nitrogen, 17% oxygen, and 4% carbon dioxide. If I were to breathe that same air again, it'd come out as 78% nitrogen, 14% oxygen, and 7% carbon dioxide. Now here at Fort 9, we test things to limits.
Gene, we have a situation brewing with the carbon dioxide.
We had a CO2 filter problem on the lunar module. So I told the doc.
You're already up to 8 on the gauges. Anything over 15 and you get impaired judgment, blackouts, the beginnings of brain asphyxia.
NASA should have consulted my mother, because she always warned this was a bad idea. Of course, no grown-up is gonna put a bag on their head. Oh. So I bought an air quality meter. Here in the temperate rainforest of BC, the trees are reading all but 467 parts per million CO2. But down here, my workshop traps 749 parts per million CO2, even despite my gardening hobby. Now, let's tear this open and adapt our meter to motorcycling. Introducing the Hell Meter. Its detector seamlessly augments impact padding, its interface has no detriment on peripheral vision, and its power wires are cleanly tucked away. So at any speed, the air in my helmet measures 450 parts per million CO2, the same as riding helmetless. But watch as I stop. Gingerly, because there's an unsealed lithium battery next to my balls. Now 500, 700, 1200? Does that make me dumb?
Yeah, Houston, we're taking a look at those numbers right now.
So after 6 minutes of barely moving, I climax. That makes me an expeditious lover, but it also makes me susceptible to 1,370 parts per million in a minor gridlock. It's citably concerning. It's beyond Health Canada's exposure limit for indoor air quality. Harvard tested people at 1,400 parts per million and noted a 50% drop in cognition, especially the ability to use information and strategize. NASA found simulator pilots lost their advanced decision-making skills at 1,200 parts per million. And the Aviation Journal warns CO2 causes a rightward shift in the psychometric function for motion perception. Basically, if I ask the audience to spot an object in motion, a few will identify it immediately, eh? Most will take a sec, and the last few only get it when it's garishly obvious. But CO2 exposure pushes the whole curve later. That and everything else is bad for motorcycling. So how do we clear our heads? My first thought was to repeat the experiment with face shield open, but the CO2 numbers hardly declined. This merits further study. On careful examination, it appears exhalations mostly go downward instead of outward, meaning our chin curtain is the barrier. So I rip that out and sweet, sweet air. We've never topped 800 parts per million with the chin curtain removed, even motionless, under exertion.